Let's A/B test some coffee. Have you ever wondered what different grind sizes taste like? Come with me to my coffee room and let's find out. So today we're going to be grinding on the Bentwood coffee grinder, and we're going to be doing two different grind sizes of the same brew to see how different they taste. So the first grind size, we're going to be using our standard 630 setting, 630 microns on this coffee grinder, and then we're going to be going a lot coarser to 730 microns on this coffee grinder. So if you're using a grinder like a Commandante, that's 100 microns off, so that's over 3 full clicks or 6 clicks on the red speed. So that's quite a big difference, and we're gonna taste the difference and let you guys know what we find. What we're gonna do is purge this grinder just to clean out some of the residual coffee left in the burrs. This setting is at 630 microns, if you want to zoom in on that. All right, so now here's where things get fun. We'll put the coffee in, and we'll cold start the grinder, meaning that there's coffee inside of the grinder before we start it. This grinder has a pre-crusher, so let's try and be as even as possible and create as many fines as possible too, because that's what this grinder likes. All right, so here we go. So this is the coffee that we're using today. It's called Flower Power that we roasted here at Pit Stop Coffee Co. It's a very vibrant and floral light roasted coffee. So we've prepared two different grind sizes and we'll be cupping them. They're of the same exact coffee. We've got our finer one over here and our coarser one over here. 630 microns versus 730 microns. Again, that's just over 3 clicks on like a Commandante. So not a crazy big difference, but still a very, very, very noticeable difference. So let's get to it. So now we'll pour the water in and start the timer. How I'm doing this is I like to wet the grounds on the sides and just pour really aggressively right in the center, and don't move the kettle or else it won't penetrate to the bottom of the grounds and constantly lift them up. And at 25 seconds, what I'll do is I'll wet the floating part of the top of the bed, and then continue pouring heavily in the center. I'll stop at 540. This is like we're doing a 36.1 to 540. That's our ratio. I like it very low. Tastes a lot better. All right, and then at 1 minute, we'll begin the quartz grind size. All right, so we are approaching 5 minutes. What we'll do is we'll grab our spoon and just swipe up. I like to do that 4 times. This breaks the crust, so it releases all of the gases and the volatile aromatics, and they just hit your nose, and it smells amazing when you do that. We are approaching 5 minutes of steep time for this one at 6 minutes, so let's break the crust. Don't get as much aromas in this one than I do in this one. And about a minute and a half after breaking, what we'll do is we'll take 2 spoons, take this off, Just like to do 2 or 3 very gentle froth pickups. All right, now it's at 8 minutes, so what I like to do here is stir the bottom 5 times. And then about 30 seconds after I stir the bottom, I will put the plunger in. So what that does is it lifts up all the concentrations at the bottom and it brings it up closer to the surface. So when I put this plunger in, we still get a lot of wonderful flavor compounds inside of our slurry and not trapped at the bottom with the grounds. So we'll do the same to this one at 9 minutes. And this keeps everything very consistent, having a clock going and doing everything exactly a minute apart from each other. All right, so it's been about just over 15 minutes now, and what we're gonna do is taste them. So I like to stir the concentration just a little bit before pouring into a cup. Just make sure that not a lot of like really heavy, like more concentration is at the bottom. It's more mixed in. All right, so I have my trusty tasting partner with me. And let's taste some coffee.
Let's do it.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers. It's really good.
So we are brewing our Ethiopia Flower Power coffee. This is our first roast island, slightly more developed than we'd like. So that was just a test batch that we're just testing with at home. What I really like about this particular roast and this grinder is the grinder brings out like a lot of textures, and you could really taste a lot of sweetness. Though if we put it on another more unimodal grinder, you can kind of taste a little bit like roastiness, which we don't really want. But I really like the jasmine, flower heavy, sweet texture.
Super flower power, and that's exactly why we named it that, because we have tried this a few times, and every single time it's just so floral. Sometimes I get a little bit of like honeysuckle, like a honey, like those white flowers. Connor says that he sees like jasmine, like purple flowers, but it's like really in that realm of just the most floral bouquet of flowers that you could get in coffee.
It's like if you had like, I see like a purple Jolly Rancher, but take away the grape flavor and just have a lot of really heavy, sweet florals packed into like a little candy like that.
I don't know if I'd call it a purple Jolly Rancher, but
very different. Now what we'll do is mix up the concentration again. I just like to do that once, but you can do it before every pour if you want. All right. Cheers.
Whoa. Completely different.
Completely different.
Wow. It's like jasmine in a whole different way. It's like a tea. Like the depth of like those tea notes really are there. It's not like punch you in the face floral. It's more like subdued floral, but also like very, I just keep saying tea-like, but that's what it tastes like to me.
Mm-hmm. A little bit more tame, a little bit more boring, I guess.
Yeah. It's not a bad cup by any means, but it's not great.
Yeah.
It's not like the flower power we are hoping to get.
Mm-hmm. But I do like the high-end vibrancy of it. It's not as like vibrant or nearly as intense, but you do get a little bit more of that like a high-end clarity.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I really don't prefer it.
It's definitely thicker too. Like it's a lot more viscous than the other one to me.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so now here's what we'll do: is we'll go back and forth and really solidify our opinions.
Okay.
And this is really good to taste as the coffee's cooling down. Then you could pick up on more flavors, pick up on how the flavors change because they're constantly changing. Steam's constantly coming out, and of course, you're going to taste more flavors as it becomes closer to body temperature as well.
Can you pour it for me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, just getting better and better. Wow.
Dang.
That's good.
That slaps you with sweetness.
Yeah. It's just like eating a flower in the best way possible.
Yeah. It's funny because when you look online, you type in like micron grind sizes, and everybody says, okay, cupping like should be between like often 700 and 900 microns. On our Bentwood, we're doing it at 630. So this is definitely more of a fine, maybe fine medium grind size. But as you can see, it tastes so wonderful when you grind a lot finer for cupping.
It's incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously. I think that's the
man.
best cup that we've had from this coffee.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had it many times and it's tasted good, but like this, wow. What, is that a bad thing to say?
No.
Okay.
Not at all.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I don't think I need to try the other one again.
Yeah, you just get so much florals.
Mm-hmm.
And that texture, like it. See, this is what I mean about like. Do you kind of think of this as more like a heavier texture now than this one?
I don't know. They're not that much off, but I don't see it as heavier. No, I actually think the other one is still heavier.
Okay. This is like more grainy to me, like the texture.
A little bit.
But like with this one, I feel like because it has more clarity, I feel like it rolls off your tongue and it has that kind of like honey-like.
Yeah, honey for sure. Because it's like very tea-like, so I could see the honey too.
Yeah, maybe it allows for more perception of texture because it is less grainy than that. Awesome. All right, let's try this one over time. Pour a little bit more.
still think there's sometimes way more body. Maybe it's just because of that deep tea note.
You're right. That is really interesting. It's like a different body.
Yeah, it's not body, but it's
Like stickiness?
maybe. Cool. So, what did we learn?
So we learned that grind size really matters.
Yeah.
Even if you're just 100 microns off, 630 to 730 microns is a pretty small difference if you think about it. It's just like a few notches on your oat grinder probably, or like just 3 notches on a Commandante grinder. So it's really not much, but it makes a massive difference once you're very dialed in on your grind size. So that's what we really like to do here, is just change one variable at a time and make the most of tasting how that one variable impacts the cup. Because as soon as you make 2 variables, you might have a different perception of what you're changing and why that affects flavor a certain way, when in fact just doing it one change at a time makes a big impact, and you really learn from it.
Absolutely.
So that's how grind size impacts the cup.
Cheers. Cool.
So what we've learned is grinding finer tastes a lot more sweet and juicy and floral heavy with this coffee compared to grinding coarser. You have a little bit more of the high-end florality notes, but it's kind of boring and it's not nearly as sweet. So we definitely prefer the finer grind size. So if you like this content, follow along for more.